Another week, another beta. Today, iOS 13 Developer Beta 7 was released. We're now on a weekly release schedule, so we should be seeing one of these every single week here until release in under a month. Can you guys believe it? iOS 13 is almost here. I mean, we've already seen 7 betas. We should be seeing just a few more here. This one comes in at 500 megabytes about on my XS Max, 100 less than the last one, but still a decent amount of changes inside. As is usual, I got some storage back on this device, about 0.3 gigabytes, on my personal, a little over half a gigabyte. And that may or may not be because Apple has officially implemented the 2 times faster app launch speeds, and with that, the storage size gets reduced as well. Now, in order to take advantage of that, this is from Beta 6, you actually have to uninstall the affected application and reinstall it. Whichever developers do support that, you'll be seeing faster app launch times and reduced app file sizes. Apple Card is now officially allowed to be set up on iOS 13. After updating, if you were in the waitlist, you may or may not get an invite to go ahead and sign up for that on iOS 13. Just want to let you know that is officially supported now. When setting up new for the first time on iOS 13 Beta 7, the titling is now much larger on all of the prompts, and the splash screens for screen time have been fixed. As you can see, they were overlapping and some major issues. And for Siri, the overall interface has been shrunk down and made more presentable here. iOS 13 Beta 7 will be on the right here. So in the control center, when enabling dark mode, the switch is now much simpler. It's just dark mode on and off, where Apple had a stumble here on Beta 6 with appearance dark off on, just didn't make as much sense. On the Notes 3D Touch platter in the control center, the icons have been made slimmer. The camera icon itself is altogether new. And when setting a timer in the control center, when you 3D touch, and you can drag now without lifting your finger and then reapplying it. So for some reason, Apple did not have that working in the last beta. By far, the most tweaked and biggest change to iOS 13 is how 3D touch behaves. And now in the control center on this beta, it's been made even faster. Like, it's an instant press, pretty much how it was in iOS 12. I thought it was great on Beta 6. Apple has refined it further and made it even more responsive now on Beta 7. Now, I feel like the way 3D touch works is a major precursor to what we're going to be getting on the iPhone 11, how it'll behave, so watch out for that here in under a month. So some new icons here as well on the weather application. You can see those glyphs have been updated. They look a lot more friendly, like a T at a golf course or something. The Notes application here has those new 3D touch icons as well, so those translate over from here to the control center. I also noticed that in the third row of apps, when you 3D touch, the actual platter will appear above the widget itself, not below it. And that's in most cases here. So as you can see, shows up above. And there's a fundamental change in the way that things are organized, or the options in the 3D touch platters here. So first off, Rearrange Apps will always appear on top now. No matter which toggle you're in, it always appears on top. And the organization of many 3D touch platters has been changed. And for an app like the App Store, the overall controls have been completely reversed. Search now appears on the bottom with Purchased at the very top, which I think makes more logical sense. When it seems like the engineers over at Apple have changed their mind about the badge, it now sits above the platter where they made it sit underneath on Beta 6. And the phone application has received a new icon for View Most Recent Call. It's no longer filled in. And with the same wallpaper, notice that the folders are back to their original look on Beta 5 and earlier. They're no longer very saturated and camouflaged with the background. Same goes for the dock. It no longer is as contrasted here, more white. And that behavior where you can 3-finger tap and have the menu appear pretty much anywhere no longer works now on Beta 7, so that wasn't supposed to be there. Apple patched it. When taking a screenshot, the image no longer auto resizes when you click into it. So notice how on the left it kind of shrinks down. That no longer happens. It's in the perfect ratio to begin with. In the Photos app, when you open up all photos, the default view or grid layout is now 3 blocks wide. Before it'd be more and a little disorienting. Of course, you can always zoom out and see more, but the default one is now 3 wide. Also in Photos, something not new to this version, but generally new to iOS 13, is that in the year blocks, you can actually slide and get a little randomized jumble of the photos throughout the year. Very nice feature. Also not new to Beta 7, but one definitely worth mentioning is if you have a consecutive amount of live photos and you 3D touch on one, it'll play them all like a video until you get to the end. That is seriously cool. The share sheet now loads faster on Beta 7, especially on older devices, and the more actual plugins, third-party apps you have, it no longer affects it speed-wise. In the home wallpaper, a very unexpected change is that Apple has returned the old wallpapers here, the 3 gradients, alongside the new ones. So this is a trend that I hope they continue with the stock settings wallpapers. Let's see. And from beta 6 in the home app, switches have a new look, a nice juicy button here, more clickable. A very strange one is in the weather app, 3D touching on a weather prompt no longer brings up a little preview. Instead, it goes right to transfer mode where you can move it around. Before, you'd have to drag that preview around and then go into that mode. So I don't know why they just changed that, but yeah, that's different. In the Shortcuts app, when opening it for the first time, the splash screen no longer mentions anything about automations. Could this be a bad sign that Apple will not be returning it anytime soon? And another fundamental change with 3D Touch in beta 7, for example in App Store, the preview windows seem to be bigger everywhere, system-wide. And also when you click on them, you no longer get this drawn out animation, it's instant. You jump right into what you were looking at. And the same goes for in the Messages app. For example, here's a peak version. You click on it, you jump right in. No longer has a weird animation where it kind of draws out and then goes in. And in the Health app, high heart rate notifications now appear up top, very visually separated to let you know that, yeah, something may be wrong with you. And that's new, I haven't seen that before. Something I've also noticed is that 3D Touch within the Messages application is faster, more responsive for me on beta 7, especially one where you have a lot of conversations. And again, that animation where you jump through, now available here, it changes the game completely for me. Look at how rough that looked. And within the Messages app on larger devices, the preview window is now larger, so you can see it fits more in, and as a result, the bottom text is no longer cut off, so that's evenly placed, you can see it. There's also a new haptic feedback when you click through. It's very subtle, but it's there. In the attachment section of Messages, when 3D touching on a video to play it, it now plays in full screen with these bars on the sides. Previously it was slightly cut off video, but at least you're getting the full view here. Also, when 3D touching on an image or any file really, you have the option to delete it now, directly from the attachments page. Same goes for links. Several changes in the Find My app. First off, Notify When Found is now working in iOS 13 beta 7. So whenever your device connects to the internet, you will get a notification when it was discovered. On the bottom of the Find My app, there are new icons for people, devices is slightly smaller, and Me is now filled in. And of course, what would a beta be without a change in the X or close button up top? It's been made larger here. And a very nice touch in the Me section. So in case your friend's phone gets stolen, there's a link over here for Help a Friend, which essentially just takes you to iCloud.com to sign into the Find My iPhone over there, because you can't sign out of it over here. Most people in the moment may get confused, so I think that's great. Also in the Receive Location Updates tab, everyone is now below the text, not beside it, and Name Current Location is now called Edit Location Name, otherwise the same function. Also, the spelling for the Find My app in a couple languages has been changed, in Norwegian and in Spanish. It just didn't make sense before. Now went from donde está to encontrar. In the Shortcuts app, in the app list, app icons for Find My and stocks have been added, and the titling throughout the app has been made slimmer here, not only here, but in the new shortcut page as well. In the private browsing mode of Safari, the top bar is now dark, where before it was a little translucent. And in Safari from beta 6, if you try and open more than 500 tabs, you get this pop-up here asking you to close some older tabs in order to accommodate that. Within settings, in the control center toggle settings, dark appearance is now dark mode in here as well. In the wallpaper settings, dark appearance dims wallpaper now works once again, except not like it did before. Now instead of making it more contrasted, it just darkens the image slightly, which is not as much of a visual change, but it's there. And dynamic wallpapers no longer have the blanked out icons. You can now see the previews once again. In the location settings, privacy alerts is now location alerts with no change on the inside. And within many app settings, there is now a tab for location. So this has been added to many of the third-party and system stock apps where you can adjust location directly from within the settings. Within the mail settings, ignore blocked senders is now blocked sender options, where it now gives you more than one way to deal with blocked senders. In the phone settings, in the silence unknown callers section, there's a new description letting you know that incoming calls will continue to ring from people in your contacts, recent outgoing calls, and Siri suggestions. From earlier, certain albums will have this badge here, Apple Digital Master, letting you know that it's been mastered for iTunes, directly from within the app. Also added in the last beta is the ability to listen to local radio stations directly from within the music application. Just search and you should be able to find them. In the Watch app, in the App Store section, the splash screen has been updated, made easier to read. And after updating to the latest watchOS beta, on your Apple Watch you have the latest Find My app, except here it's called Find People. Also, Do Not Disturb will properly sync now between your Apple Watch and your iPhone. So no longer is there a discrepancy on both, as long as they're both updated to the latest betas. Also within the code on beta 7, Apple is continuing a long-standing tradition of leaking stuff within iOS. The latest one is an image called Hold for Release, and it shows a September 10th release date. So this is basically telling us the iPhone 11 will be released on September 10th, as has been predicted. And within Test Flight, there's a new share feedback screen, which shows you how to take a screenshot and share it with a developer for feedback. And now within certain apps, you can sign in with Apple. That's one of the most convenient things about iOS 13 and is available for testing now. And lastly, here's the Geekbench Score. So improved multi over the last beta. The biggest change here is the 3D Touch, which is more responsive, not only on the home screen, within messages, pretty much anywhere you can invoke it. Overall, I'm so happy where iOS 13 has gotten on a refinement scale. We're less than a month away. Keep you updated on any of the changes, but mostly everything that we've seen has been established here. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one.